Welcome back to Tidal Gardens, guys. In this video, I wanted to cover a topic that is near and dear to many people's hearts when it comes to this hobby. It's how to make money with your reef tank. So we're going to go over 5 different ways that you can accomplish this. The first way that I would look at making some money back to perhaps help subsidize future purchases is to sell frags back to your local fish store. Sometimes the pricing you're going to get is not going to be that attractive. They might only offer just like a few dollars here and there, maybe up to like $10 depending on the frag. However, what's nice about local fish stores is some of them can actually take in a pretty sizable volume, and you're going to find when you're trying to sell coral that one of the hardest things to do is to move the amount of corals you need, more so than trying to make as much money as possible on every individual frag. So if you find a store that can every single month take maybe 50 frags off of your hands, that could potentially pay for your whole hobby right there. And if you're in an area where there's several of these different stores around, like 50 here, 30 there, and maybe you find like a really active store when it comes to selling reef corals and stuff, maybe they can take 100. That could fund a whole lot, even if you're only selling these things for $5 to $10 a pop. Next option, number 2. What you can try to do is to sell directly to other hobbyists. It's a little bit more work than selling it to a local fish store, because typically in a given city there might only be a handful of local fish stores that you need to deal with. You have their number already. You can just go down the list, 1 through 5, 1 through 10. In some cases 1 through 1, depending on how many stores you guys have in your area. But the other option, of course, is to sell locally to other hobbyists. So there's a few different outlets you can look at. There's some classified sections on message boards such as Reef Central, Reef to Reef. There could be some others, and I'm sorry, I'm excluding any international boards because I'm not too familiar with it. So again, message boards. You could look at Craigslist. There's a lot of activity on local Craigslist for selling frags. You could look at Facebook groups. There's many. I can't even count how many I've seen that do some sort of buy-sell trade as far as that goes. So there are some online outlets that you could look at. Also, a lot of times clubs will throw like an annual frag swap or something like that have discounted prices for hobbyists to come in and set up a little table or whatnot. So perhaps like once a year you could attend those. There's a few different options there, but it's essentially lower volume, perhaps a little bit more money than you would get selling to a store directly, but in selling directly to the public. The nice thing about perhaps something like a frag swap is that you're kind of going out into a public place and doing all these transactions rather than having everybody come to their house. Even here at Tidal Gardens, like I live on the property, but this isn't my house. This is like a greenhouse. It's separate. It's kind of nice. And I know that some folks are a little bit more private than others, and they just don't want like random strangers coming over just to buy a $20 coral. Okay, number 3, what you can try to do to make a little bit of money off of your reef is not to sell coral, but it's to provide content. So if you started a blog, for example, and actually developed some sort of following, obviously it's quite a lot of work. It'll take a little bit longer than just fragging corals and selling them. But if you're able to develop a following, there's several different ways to monetize that sort of digital media. So you could be looking at Google Adsense for little paid advertisements, or you could possibly look at brand deals with specific companies for banners and direct sponsorship of blog posts. Granted, that is assuming that you have that critical mass of a following to justify those deals, but that is certainly a way that some folks have gone towards monetizing their hobby. Actually, I thought of another way that one could monetize blogs and written content. It's Amazon affiliate links. So if you sometimes see a product getting reviewed that's available for purchase on Amazon, a little bit of money can be made just by creating an affiliate account with Amazon and including some links. So if somebody were to hit that link, go to Amazon, surf around a little bit, purchase a couple items, there's like a little bit of a kickback for that affiliate. Okay, number 4, sticking with the media theme, it's to start a YouTube channel. And there's several different ways to monetize YouTube. Obviously, I'm a huge proponent of starting a YouTube channel. It's really the only reason why anybody even knows who Tidal Gardens is. Like, otherwise we would just be some completely nondescript coral seller, and that would be less good. So the nice thing about YouTube is that you kind of develop your own voice. But we're not really talking about voice, we're talking about monetization. So how do you monetize YouTube? First and foremost, once you get to a certain size, you can apply for Google Adsense, similar to like a blog. You could have ads appear at the beginning or end of your YouTube videos. Secondly, that opens up the door for Patreon donations. Patreon is a site that's kind of like I've kind of described it as a tip jar for YouTube creators. A lot of larger channels get to a certain point where they can just solicit crowdfunding to help their video production. The next thing, as far as monetizing YouTube, is possible brand deals, very similar to blogs. You can reach out to different companies to work with you on perhaps promoting a product. Hopefully it's promoting a product that you actually use and not just making it a cash grab or something. Because again, the value of YouTube is your voice. And that's probably a lot more important in the long term than it is just to get like a couple free products and a few $100s from a specific manufacturer. That's just my take on it. But you do you. Another element of YouTube that's making a much bigger push these days is live video streams. Obviously, we do live shows, we do live Q&As and live sales, that sort of thing. But there's a feature within that called Super Chat that I don't know exactly what the threshold is to activate Super Chat. I think you need to have X number of subscribers or X number of views or something. But a Super Chat is essentially like a tip jar that's built into the live chat. So I think it looks like a $. People can click on that, type in a value, like $5, let's say, and it'll pop up that this person had donated a $5 Super Chat. And that'll it'll last a little bit longer in chat, and typically the streamer will give that person some preferential treatment on actually answering their question. So for YouTube, yes, it's monetization through AdSense, it is Patreon donations, it is brand deals, and also possible Super Chat donations. It's a pretty good platform. Lastly, number 5, it is to start a full-blown business like this. If you ever do decide to do that, first thing I can recommend is to understand that there's a good chance that whatever hobby you had before is kind of in jeopardy. You might have to get really comfortable with the idea that you might come out of this hating the hobby and just losing interest in it altogether, because once you turn a hobby into a job, it tends to get a little bit less fun. I'm sure you can imagine why. Also worth considering is if you're going to bring on partnership, don't go into business with your friends, or at least don't go into business with any of your friends that you aren't willing to lose. And the third little bit of practical advice, if you wanted to go the full-on business route, is please don't quit your day job. These businesses, they take a great deal of momentum. So early on, you're going to be putting in every bit as much work. However, you might not be getting results early on. So it's probably a lot better to start off, have it like a part-time thing, and just let it gain momentum over time. And then one day, it'll be close enough where you could legitimately make the argument that it's a good idea to quit your day job and transition to the business full-time. And lastly, I would look at putting together a rough business plan. I don't know if it's particularly valuable to do a full-fledged business plan unless you're trying to apply for a loan, which it's probably not a great idea to write a business plan just for the purpose of trying to get a loan, because it's kind of a low success proposition, let's just say, for a pure startup to get a bank loan. But it's a good exercise to do. It's just to kind of organize your thoughts and kind of challenge your own assumptions. And once you start into the business, it'll turn out that a lot of those assumptions didn't quite work out, but at least you have a framework as to how you came to that type of logic and what kind of changes you might need to make from that point on. Is it necessary? No. But it could be the difference between having a successful launch and having one where you kind of get caught into like circular thinking and not really making the progress that you really want. All right, guys, that pretty much does it. That's 5 different ways to potentially make some money off of your reef tank. So, I don't know, did I forget anything? If you guys have any ideas of anything I might have missed, please, by all means, put it in the comments below. I'm sure other folks would be very appreciative of that. But those are the 5 that I could think of off the top. So, in any case, hope to see you guys next time. Happy reefing.